Welcome to Culture Alchemy, where we do a deep dive into film, TV, music, and the stories and trends lighting up the group chat. We'll discuss what it means, why it matters, and how it shapes us. I'm Antoinette.
And I'm Andrew. Each week, we've got pop culture's hottest takes, served fresh. We're turning pop culture into pure gold. This is Culture Alchemy. Okay, so how's it going, Antoinette?
It's going well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I just watched the trailer from Deliver Me From Nowhere, the new Bruce Springsteen biopic, which is coming, which I am super excited about. I love me a good biopic. Okay, I loved A Complete Unknown. It was one of my top films of the year, and I'm excited for this one. I'm Bruce Springsteen. I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan, and I like that they chose Jeremy Allen White. I was curious to see, how he would look, and he looked great in the trailer. And what do you think of the trailer? First of all.
Well, first of all, I agree. I thought this is going to be a great movie. And my first thought was Jeremy's winning an Oscar this year.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. It's like you're taking two heavyweights right now. Jeremy Strong and Jeremy Allen White, to me, like monsters. They're both beasts when it comes to acting. And I think both of them are going to win Oscars in this lifetime. And I think you've got a movie that has all the trappings of really like solid Oscar bait.
Mm-hmm. I loved Jeremy from The Bear. It's one of my favorite shows. It's one of your favorite shows too. And I think it's a great choice. And yeah, he's definitely going to get nominated for an Oscar, and he could win. I'm still bitter that Timothy didn't win the Oscar for A Complete Unknown. Still bitter about that. But maybe Jeremy will bring it home. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he can do what Chalamet could not do. It will be interesting to see if they being the Academy, that they respond positively to this. And maybe there's some formula to what makes something more receptive to an Academy. And I think this one is a basic checklist of things. So I know for myself, I have my own checklist of what is an Oscar bait worthy movie, but what do you think makes a movie sort of Oscar baity?
Well, this is Oscar bait for sure, and the director is Scott Cooper, and he did Crazy Heart a few years ago with Jeff Bridges, which is a similar vibe, almost like a Star is Born vibe, and that was nominated for an Oscars as well. And I really enjoyed Crazy Heart with Jeff Bridges. And Maggie Gyllenhaal was also in it as well. And so he knows, I feel like he's a good director for this type of film. And he knows what he's doing. And as far as Oscar bait, it's like a really this is a Bruce Springsteen story is a really American, story growing up, a blue collar worker, a lot of people can be inspired by this type of story, Bruce Springsteen story. So I think that's part of the Oscar bait as well. He's a legend, everyone loves, he's one of the icons of rock and roll, and people love his music and grew up on his music. And excited to hear more about his story and be inspired by that. I think that's a big part of it, being inspired by someone who came from nothing and achieved their dream. I think that's a big Oscar bait part of it. Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree. I think that's one of the keys, is that
very relatable.
Kind of hearing you say is that there's a transformation.
Like
something. There's some transformation. I think that's a big one too, right? Whenever I see, especially when an actor goes through some kind of really like kind of staggering physical transformation
Hmm.
to play the part, right? They go totally method
Yeah, that is
on it.
Oscar bait for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really does appeal to the Academy. I
I
think
think true stories
it's
too. I think the Academy really likes true stories. I think that's part of the Oscar bait as
absolutely.
well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. The voters definitely love true stories. They love anything about Hollywood too.
Yeah.
Like they love anything that really, um, sort of tips the cap to them, right? To
Yeah, they
filmmaking,
do.
to Hollywood. I think Birdman, La La Land, The Artist, like these are all movies that they just sort of like I don't know. To me, it's sort of like this is a brilliant movie about us, and people like to hear about themselves. Like it just sort of I know already that Hollywood's going to like it just based on the fact that the content is about something that they can relate to and understand in a world that pays homage to the things that they love and are passionate about,
Mhm.
right? The film, the business. So, yeah, I think that's one thing for sure. And to your point, I also think who they get attached to the picture makes a big deal of difference as well. Because if we're talking about somebody who is quote unquote due, right? That can also tip the scale somewhat sometimes too when you look at somebody who has been like a Glenn Close,
Mm.
like she's been nominated like 7 or 8 times,
Yeah,
has never won, right?
exactly.
So
Yeah.
she, at some point, I think she's going to win. It's just a matter of the how and the when. And so I see Jeremy Allen White. I see Jeremy Strong. Jeremy Strong has been a bridesmaid a couple of times already recently. And of course, as you mentioned, Jeremy Allen White has been phenomenal on The Bear, has a lot of respect in the industry, and has just been like cleaning up in every other category that he's been nominated for that
Yeah.
role in The Bear. So if he's going to become a bona fide movie star now, it'll be interesting to see this being his first picture. I find it very not even convenient. I'll just straight up say it's good marketing, it's good strategy to release this film in the fall because that to me
Oh,
also tells me, oh yeah,
that's another key for Oscar movies. Releasing it in the fall. An amazing cast. That's Oscar bait as well.
yeah,
This has it, including Marc Maron, who we'll be talking about later in this podcast. Yeah.
yeah. I forgot about that. So
Yeah.
the great, yeah, great little nod to. I mean, this is a whole. This is a whole like not even 6 degree separation. Like
Yeah.
pretty much, I think everybody is connected to this biopic in our list of stories today. So that's kind of interesting
Yeah.
that you mentioned that. Yeah, they've got a stacked cast. That certainly helps. You've got also, yeah, some real star power at the back end of the fall reward season. So if this thing is coming out in October, I already know that's what they're positioning it for,
Definitely.
right? So
Yeah.
they are picturing that it's going to be a contender for a lot of different awards. And I think, yeah, it's just got the calling card all over it. Like you said, the transformation, the biopic, which we all love to see. And I think also too, anything that's going to, of course, showcase A-list actors and like craftsmanship, like is
Mm.
going to show someone honing their skill. Like I said, I think they really like to see the rags to riches or the transformation, as you were saying earlier, is key.
And the
So
Oscar loves to see a breakout role, like you said too, as well. And this is definitely
yes,
going to be Jeremy's breakout role for sure. Yeah.
yes. Definitely. I think this is going to be the one that's going to launch him now as like a movie star. I think he's, well, I don't know for sure. I've not heard him say this intentionally or publicly, but I think he's going to move that way towards let me go to movies now.
Yeah.
So this is a great one for him to do. I think, yeah, he'll really body this role. I'm quite certain of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is going to be definitely one of those things we're going to be talking about once we get into award season, and definitely Oscar buzz all over this thing.
He's
And
gone from
so
TV
moving
star
from
to CK model, Calvin Klein model to Oscar winner. All right. That's
absolutely, hey,
definitely,
not bad,
yeah.
not a
He's
bad
going
little
up.
resume
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I mean everybody wants the Oscar. It's just the it's the cherry on top of a fruitful, successful career. And it's just really the accolades and
Yeah.
the respect that comes from it. The understanding that your peers, in theory, really respect your craft. It's the ultimate. So everybody wants an Oscar, even if they're just happy to be nominated.
Mhm.
We all want the Oscar. Let's keep it real.
Exactly.
And so moving from Oscar bait to Oscar certainty, we have just heard that Tom Cruise is going to be given an honorary Oscar this fall as well too. So, what are your thoughts on that? Does this feel like finally it's a finally moment, or is this more of a consolation prize?
I'm very happy that they're doing this. Uh, Tom Cruise is like 62. Okay, so when you look at his filmograph, his films, his roster of films is like undefeated. But he's 62, and it was looking like getting an Oscar was going to be almost mission impossible. But it's not.
Oh,
All right.
I see what you did there.
But they're finally giving the Oscar. It's well deserved, and I'm excited about this. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think it is overdue. I think
It's
there's been a
way
lot of things
overdue.
he could have done earlier that have gotten they've gotten nominated but never win. So I think it's about time. And I'm curious to know how you feel about Tom Cruise in general, like his what you think his contribution to film has been, because I think
Mhm.
when you give away an honorary Oscar,
Yeah.
you are essentially saying that the body of work that the person has amassed as an artist is so significant
Mhm.
in some way that we have to acknowledge it. And I think that
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the thing that I find really amazing about this, that
Mhm.
they are finally giving Tom Cruise this. And I think he might be one of the last like true movie stars.
Yeah.
Like when I think movie star, I think Tom Cruise. If I go anywhere in the world and say his name, it's sort of synonymous with movies and Hollywood, right? So I think he is a really kind of special kind of actor. I mean, he's an icon.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know what are your thoughts on Tom Cruise, and what do you think his contribution to film has been?
Yeah, that term icon is thrown around a lot these days. I find
It
it,
is.
but he is, yeah, the last one of the last true Hollywood stars. He's an icon in every sense of the word. Um, when you look at the films he's been in and what he's contributed to film as a whole, and um, Steven Spielberg has said that he saved film after the pandemic. He was one of
Mm.
the only ones like pushing to continue to make films during the pandemic with Top Gun 2. He was still filming, going through all the protocols and everything. But he's always been like, including the latest Mission Impossible, trying to get people back to the theater to see films, because he loves movies and loves going to the movies, and how we've talked about this in a previous episode. People are not going to the movies like they used to. He really is film in every sense of the word. He embodies it, and yeah, I mean, I have so many. It's hard to pick as far as like all his films, which are some of my favorites. But he definitely deserves it for his body of work, for his contribution to film, including doing his own stunts as well, right?
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
wild.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I think about
yeah,
when I think about Tom Cruise, is the fact that he's just, I mean, he, like you said earlier, and that's really interesting about what Spielberg said. Like he is, like he's a bona fide movie star. Like he's
yeah.
a true movie star. He's like the architect of like the modern blockbuster.
Mhm.
And when I think about how he has this, he's weird. Like he's got this cross generational appeal
Yeah,
that he's earned over time, both because of what you just said,
Every
I think, because of the
generation, you're
fact that
right.
he's
Everyone all around the world. It doesn't matter, how old you are, where your background. Everybody knows Tom Cruise, and you know,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah,
real. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, if you're 80s Tom Cruise, you got your 90s Tom Cruise, you got your knots, you got, I mean, he is also somebody who, in my opinion, has been really fearless about taking ownership of his career, and that he was never boxed in. He could have been, but
Hmm.
he's been all over the map. And to your point, it's kind of hard. I'm not surprised that you're not able to pinpoint necessarily your favorite Tom Cruise movie, because he's actually done so many different types of movies.
Yeah.
He's the action star, obviously, of course, but then I also think of Tom Cruise. I think of like, I mean, I will be remiss if I didn't say, that I think about Jerry Maguire, or I think about, um, his work even in some of the movies that maybe were not as well received,
Hmm.
that were a little bit more out there and abstract, like Vanilla Sky, not everyone's favorite movie.
Yeah.
I actually really liked that movie. I really liked his performance in
I
that. I
really
thought
like
it
that
was,
too. It's directed by Cameron Crowe, but
listen,
it was very polarizing for sure. Yeah.
it was. It was not everyone's cup of tea. I really dug it, and I really dug even his appearances in like Tropic Thunder. That
Yeah.
he shows that he's got a sense of humor, right? And
And speaking of
Magnolia,
Tropic
like
Thunder,
he's so bad in that.
he's there's word that they're trying to make some type of spin-off from Tropic Thunder with Tom Cruise as the that producer.
No.
Yeah, I think that'd be hilarious. But
Oh
yeah, you're right.
wow.
He's
Okay.
dabbled in different genres. He hasn't been boxed in. He's an action star. He's also been hilarious in Tropic Thunder. He's done the
Yeah.
romance with Jerry Maguire. I think he came close with getting an Oscar for that. I think the closest he's
Yep.
ever come to getting an Oscar is probably Boiler on the 4th of July, which was
Yep.
a drama too, a serious drama. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he's been nominated 4 times. So I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah.
He was nominated for Born on the Fourth of July, Jerry Maguire, Magnolia,
Oh,
and he was also nominated for Top Gun Maverick,
yeah,
right? So he's been successful as an actor without question. There's a cult almost around him. Like he's both hyper visible
yeah.
and also deeply like mysterious. Like I,
He's been
I
very
don't really know
private
much about him.
too, and I think
Super.
that's part of his as far as being one of the last like Hollywood icons, is because the old Hollywood
Hmm.
star, which he is, would keep their private life private, and
Right.
he's somehow been able to do that for the most part. He did have that period where he did the couch jumping,
Sure.
but for the most part, he's been pretty private about and keep it separated from his Hollywood career. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, which is an incredible thing to do
yeah,
with, as you said, that level of privacy. His affiliation with Scientology as well, which
yeah,
for a lot of other people has ended their careers. Like he's been able to maintain his convictions to his faith, and
yeah.
also he said things that I think rightfully would have honestly canceled many other people, but
Definitely,
he's
yeah.
just got this like a supernova of star power around him
Mhm.
that's hard to deny, right? So, yeah, I think he's definitely due, as you said at the top, of the segment, that he is iconic, and icon does get thrown around a lot, but
Yeah,
I don't think there's anyone as fitting for that word as there is in Tom Cruise. He's just really changed how we see movies and what's possible for movies, and has pushed it as an artist. So, yeah, well overdue for sure.
do you have a favorite
Yeah.
Tom Cruise film, or what are some of your favorites?
Yeah, I mean, Rain Man, I really like.
Oh wow,
Risky Business is really good. I watched that the other day. That's a really good movie.
I need to rewatch.
I like Jerry Maguire too. I mean, I'll be lying if I said I
Yeah,
wasn't moved by that movie. I like that movie too. Um, I Yeah, I find it hard to pick just one, because I kind of go, this is the one, and then I think, no, I like this one a lot too. I think Rain Man is one of my favorite ones. Uh, I mean, I even like the action movies too. I really like the Mission Impossible series too. It's hard for me to pick just one, but even Magnolia, I think he's brilliant in that. He's brilliant in that. So ask me tomorrow, maybe I'll have a different answer.
right.
But I think I Oh, Days of Thunder is good too,
It's
though,
tough.
man.
I think he has also the best, probably the best roster of films. Like when you think about
Yeah.
it, like has he made a bad movie?
Not really. I mean, maybe someone might say like he might have done Eyes Wide Shut, and that maybe wasn't a great movie, but it's still a movie that's super important
It
to like
is, yeah, yeah,
his entire filmography. That movie is also I'm going to use this word a lot today, so get ready for this, Octopus. But it's also iconic. I mean,
yeah,
for a number of reasons. When he did it with his then wife. He did it with Kubrick.
yeah.
I mean, he's like
Kubrick's last film, right? That's
yeah. So even his worst, potentially worst movie,
yeah.
you can't even say it's a bad movie, you know? So I think he's been, yeah, it's hard for me to isolate just one. There's many that I like. But what about you? What is your favorite?
Yeah, like I said, like I grew up with Tom Cruise, right? I think the first movie I saw Tom Cruise in was Legend, and not many people talk
Mm,
about this film called Legend, and it was directed by Ridley Scott. Actually, I think it's really one of Ridley Scott's first
mm.
films, and he plays a knight in that movie. Anyways, I love that movie. Um, but as far as some of my, I mean, if I have to gun to the head, my favorite Tom Cruise. I really liked Far and Away. A lot of people don't talk about Far and Away. I think that's where he actually met
Oh,
Nicole Kidman. It's an Irish film. Interview with a Vampire. I loved Collateral
yes.
too, Michael Mann's Collateral. Uh, and Minority
Yeah.
Report too. Minority Report is one of my favorite films, so it's tough.
Great movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, all great movies. As you even mentioned, I was like, oh, Interview with the Vampire. Yeah, that's a good one too.
See, in
Yeah,
Collateral, he even played a
Collateral.
bad guy too, and you wouldn't expect him to
Great in
play a
Collateral.
great villain, but he was
Yeah.
badass in that movie. Yeah,
He was dope in
yeah,
that. He was real dope in that. I really liked that. Yeah, see, then you mentioned all the other movies. I go, oh, yeah, of course I have to say that movie.
yeah.
So
Right.
Tom Cruise is just, he really has a deep, 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 bench of films. And it's kind of hard to say that he's pure action star. He can hit drama,
Yeah,
he can hit comedy, he can do it all. He's really got a lot of range. So I
yeah.
think, yeah, this is an
You,
award that
you had me at
definitely
Tom
is.
Cruise. All right, that's all you
That's
have to
right.
say.
That's right. So we know Cruz has got a wicked legacy
Yeah,
that he's going to leave, and I'm sure this Oscar is not the last we're going to see of him. Maybe picking up some hardware, who knows, right? And I think he's got um, hopefully a lot of years left. But moving on from his legacy to what will be the legacy of this next actor, who you mentioned earlier, is part of the Deliver Me from Nowhere
yeah.
Springsteen biopic, Marc Maron. Um, Marc Maron, who for 16 years has hosted the WTF podcast. Um, he's up there with the Joe
Oh,
Rogans and the and others who have really revolutionized this podcasting space. He's decided. Maron said, "Enough's enough. I'm calling it quits," citing burnout as the reason that he's just tired. He's just tired and wants to give him and his staff a break.
yeah.
And so guess the question is, first and foremost, Andrew, like, were you a Maron fan? Were you familiar with his podcast? Did you listen? And if so, what do you think his legacy is going to be as he goes off the air this fall?
Um, I. well, I didn't listen. I wouldn't say I listened a lot. I know I was aware of. He was. He was one of like I feel like obviously podcasting is big, these days, but I think he was one of the original kind of like proponents of podcasting and what that looks like, and he's had an 16-year run, and he's had a lot of great conversations over the years, including with Quentin Tarantino, which was one of my favorite episodes he did, and he's just like one of like almost like the main, just like a great host for podcasts over the years, and yeah, I mean, he's had a great run, but I'm definitely going to go back and listen to some episodes for sure. Yeah, I was a fan. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think that's actually something I'm going to do as well. I do listen to his podcast, did listen to his podcast, but like he came at a time when there were probably fewer long form
Yeah, well, I'm
podcasts.
new
And
to the
so,
space. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I was really into him for a while, and no reason why. I just kind of moved on to other ones. But I mean, he's kind of like you gotta pay respects to him because he was one of those people that really changed the game.
Mm.
I remember listening to, like, he had one of the most moving interviews with Robin Williams before he
Oh
passed,
yeah.
and also I want to say the first. I Okay, our alchemist can fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure he had the first interview, like podcast interview with Obama, because I remember
Oh
listening
wow.
to it
Yeah.
and the amount of, obviously means a sitting president. So
Mhm.
the amount of preparation that goes into getting that guy to Mark's garage, which is the whole pretense of the show is that Mark is interviewing people in his garage,
Yeah.
and he has a really like lo-fi setup. He often will sit there and like play guitar to start or end the show. And the big thing with Maron, which I think is one of the reasons why a lot of people are going to go back and listen, or why people are feeling like this is going to be a loss in the space, is he was one of the very first to do that long form style of
Mhm.
conversation. His sessions became almost more like therapy sessions where he dove really deep and was really, really vulnerable. And I think one thing that I didn't think about until just now, as I'm formulating this thought as I speak, is that I think his legacy will also be that he was one of the best long form interviewers, that he jump started a big part of the podcast industry,
Mhm.
and that he also, as a man, I'm now realizing one of the things I really liked about listening to Maron, I didn't understand this at the time, but I recognize now, is that he was so vulnerable. And I think the way that he invited people to see his own mess, that he had. And I don't know how much of Maron our listeners will know about, but personally, Marc Maron struggled for many years with substance abuse and has had relationship drama, would be an understatement. But he spoke a lot about life on the road, the demons that he's always had follow him throughout his career, his redemption and transformation. And because he shares all that so vulnerably, it allows other people on the show to do the same. So I've heard people, share things that I think it feels like I shouldn't be hearing this. Like I'm a voyeur into this really private conversation.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting thing to do. So I really think the tone of the show was something very different. And I don't think there would be,
It-
like, for example,
exactly. He
an
was a
armchair
real
expert.
trailblazer. A real trailblazer in the space. Yeah.
Totally, totally. I don't think Dax Shepard would be doing armchair expert. I personally, I don't even know if we would be seeing Smartless doing what they're doing right now. I think he kind of opened the
Mhm.
doors to a lot of people putting out content um, around, long conversations. So I think it was really interesting to hear that he was ending it. I kind of respect it. 16 years is a long run.
Yeah.
And, he called it because he wasn't feeling it. He just feels burnt out and probably wants to go and do other things. And so, as a creative, Andrew, can you relate to this? Like, do you feel like when it's time to move on from a creative project? When do you know, and when do you recognize that it's time to do something different?
Yeah. I mean, I would say, yeah, you do. Burnout is a real thing for sure. I mean, he did it for 16 years. And like you said, like some of the guests he had on the show, like, and he's having these types of conversations where I'm sure a lot of research goes into these conversations too, right? And that's a lot to do on a weekly basis for so long. And I think over time, you kind of like lose you don't have the energy for it. Things change obviously in your life, and where your priorities are as well. And I'm not sure how old he is, but he's obviously getting older, and maybe just didn't have the energy. And also, yeah, over time you just kind of like, I mean, I've experienced it too, where you originally started something, but then years later, it's just your body's telling you, your heart's telling you that you need to try something different, and that will give you a new energy, So I'm sure
Yeah.
he's just wants to go into a new direction, and I don't know what he's going to pursue next, but I think he's done his time with it, and I think he just wants to move on to maybe another project or something. Yeah.
Yeah, totally fair. I totally agree with you. And FYI, I know this because me and Marin have the same
Oh
birthday.
wow.
So he's also born, yeah, September 27th, same birthday. He's 61. So
That's
yeah,
fun. Yeah.
he's been doing this for a minute,
Almost
and
Tom
now he just
Cruise's
wants to
age,
do some.
right? Tom Cruise.
Yes, exactly, which is wild. But this has been a gigging comedian. He's been working since this since like the 80s.
Yeah.
So can imagine like he probably just like you said wants to do new things now. And we know at least one of those things is movies
Mhm.
for sure, right? Movies, TV.
Yeah.
He's been really successful with actually with both. He's done quite a few
Oh, he's
things
been in a
outside
ton
of
of movies. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I think it makes sense. And I agree with you that burnout is real. I've definitely experienced it.
Mhm.
And I think as far as a creative pause goes, like when you know it's time to just call it a wrap,
Yeah.
I think it's when there's no joy anymore. When
Exactly.
I feel, yeah, this thing doesn't bring me joy anymore, that's usually when I'll bail because it's just not like for I don't know. I think that's a big sign for me is that there's no joy, or I'm not understanding what the purpose is anymore for me to be doing it.
Yeah.
Like it's
It's not
a
bringing
big
me
sign for
joy,
me
and
personally.
also you're just going through the motions,
Yeah.
and I myself, like, I've experienced it recently. Actually, I just started a new job and onto new projects, and it's good to do something completely different too. Try different things, get outside of your comfort zone, and do something that scares you too. Just start something new. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And so we can both appreciate that Marin has decided to take creative control and just call it a wrap and end on a high. So he'll be doing his last episodes this fall and look forward to seeing what he's going to do for his last show. Cause I mean, he's had almost everyone you can imagine on it. So
Yeah,
that last guest, that last show is going to be something else. And,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm excited for that last episode. I'm definitely going to take a look at some of my maybe favorite guests he's had, and listen to those
yeah,
episodes as well, because it's always going to be there, right? So yeah.
that's right.
And
That's
speaking
right.
of podcasts, and also we were talking about award shows earlier, the Golden Globes has announced that they're going to introduce a new category for best podcast. So, I wonder if he will be nominated.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wonder if he'll be nominated for best podcast. That'd be a great way to go out,
Oh,
right?
that's right. Oh my gosh, I'm glad you brought that
Yeah.
up. I heard that. I thought, yeah, it's loco, but at the same time, maybe it's not. I mean, it is a legitimate way that so many people are getting
Yeah,
their
exactly.
information, their
I'm
news,
excited
and
that they did that. Yeah.
that's really wild. I thought that was yeah. So I mean, let's see what happens. Who do you think is going to be nominated in this category? Like, who do you expect to see?
I hope he is. Smartless is, I love
Yeah,
Smartless. So definitely that's going to be in there for sure. It probably will win. Who else? That's a good question. Who do you think?
do you think Rogan will be in there?
I think Rogan, I think based on the amount of listens and reach Rogan gets, yeah, he's going to be there for
Yeah,
sure. That's polarizing for some people.
definitely, definitely.
Um,
Yeah,
the Liver King
hard to
is
deny him.
definitely not going to be happy about that if he's nominated, because I'm not sure if you heard about the Liver King recently wanted to come after Joe Rogan. He was trying to assassinate him. But anyways, that's that's another hot topic for another day. But yeah, those are who else would be nominated. That's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with all the takes that you've noted. I think if I were to go off of like what you just said, off of reach,
Yeah.
then I will probably see. This might be surprising if our listeners are not following her, but I think someone like Emma Chamberlain will definitely be somebody who will be interesting to see,
Yeah.
like a younger influencer.
Yeah.
I listen to her show. I think she has a solo cast, and like she's really evolved, and her reach is huge. And then of course you got people like um, and I've forgotten her name right now, but the Call Her Daddy podcast.
Yeah.
I think those are huge numbers that they're putting up too. So it'll be interesting to see, like you said, is it about reach? Is it about
Mhm.
what they perceive to be studio quality production? Is it about avant-garde? Well, I mean, the Golden Globes are themselves people question,
Yeah.
right? The Golden Globes, the choices they've made, but it'll be interesting to see how how they approach that category and who they nominate
Mhm.
will be very telling for the direction that award is going to go, because there are there are awards specifically for podcasters,
Okay.
so maybe those are the ones that are going to be more true to like grassroots growth. And then to your point, I think reach is going to be it, like just
Yeah.
listen, Smartless is millions and millions and millions of people have listened. So
Yeah.
how do you how do you not nominate it? How do you not nominate Joe Rogan? That'll be the question I have, is how do you not nominate these guys?
Yeah.
You kind of know just looking at the top five,
Mhm.
on your listening platform who's kind of in the mix already. But yeah, a Golden Globe for a podcast. I didn't think I would see
No,
that.
me either. Me
So
either. But it's also a great way to bring in a new audience too, I think.
absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of new audiences,
Mhm.
and we're going to move on from the Golden Globes conversation around podcasting to the conversation that's been picking up around Sinners. So we've covered Sinners
Yes.
on this show before. As you all know, we're both fans of the film. And now we're hearing, that the studios, of course, as they want to do, they've got a movie that's made them a ton of money and they'd like to make some more. So they're talking about doing a sequel to Sinners. Okay, let's dive in here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
I this is I mean, I love Sinners.
Hmm.
I'm conflicted. I'll be honest. I'm
Mm.
conflicted because I love Sinners and I love to see where the story goes. Spin off, following those characters where they go for sure because I love the characters. But at the same time, if Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan are not going to be a part of it, I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling very good about it. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I hear you on that. I mean, I know Kugler said he had no interest in doing one.
Yeah.
Like he's
A
been
part
pretty
of me
clear
just
about
wants
that.
them to leave that story as it is, and obviously Hollywood wants to make the sequels to, you know, keep because it was a massive hit, right? So they want to keep the money going, flowing, but. I just don't want to see it, turn into a sequel after sequel, and it loses the magic of the original. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think when I first heard this, I thought, well, I mean, obviously it's not a great look if Kugler's saying he doesn't want anything to do with this
yeah,
and they go and they make this, then it's kind of like, do you go and watch it, or do you boycott this and
yeah,
go, well, I'm not going to do this if it's not what the director wanted. If none of the original cast are involved in the picture, do you go see this? Are you that person? Or do you abstain from seeing this out of principle? And I'm sort of torn, as you were saying as well, because I think I have to see what they're going to do.
yeah,
Like if they were to do a prequel, which I've heard is possible, that might be kind of interesting. Or if they were to, like, for example, taking the characters of the um, the vampire hunters, the native vampire hunters,
yeah.
like if they were to do something with them, or if they were to go back and look at totally different characters, not necessarily the ones that we're thinking about, but people that might have been adjacent to them, or like looking at the vampire Rimmick, the Irish one. I've heard different ways they
Yeah.
might try to treat this.
No, that's true. Their
Yeah.
backstories, the prequels could be interesting. There's a lot of routes they could take and explore different characters and introduce
Yeah.
new characters as well. It could be interesting. Yeah. I would
Absolutely.
feel
And
better
again,
about
ultimately, I think,
it maybe if like Ryan Coogler didn't direct it, but he was like oversaw the vision and maybe like a producer, some capacity on that. But just if it's not approved by Ryan Coogler, and like I don't know if I'm gonna might have to boycott it. All right, I might have to protest. Okay. I'm gonna be outside the movie
yeah, I
theater.
think,
I'm gonna be outside. You're gonna see me on the news. All right. I'm gonna be protesting uh, the sequel to Sinners. Yeah.
well, listen, man, I hope it doesn't come to that. But if indeed it does come to that, and it is interesting because Sinners was kind of about morality, consequence,
Mhm.
spectacle. So if you have to take it to the streets and take it to a protest place,
Yeah.
then you're perfectly in good company then with the people in our next hot topic story, because we're going to take it to the streets of
Mhm.
Paris to round out our hot topics today. So perfect segue, Andrew. If we're going to riot, then we may as well riot for a reason. And apparently, if you are one of the fans of the Paris Saint-Germain sports team that recently rioted at the beginning of the month after the Champions League game,
Mhm.
then maybe you'll understand what this was all about. But for those who are not in the know, there was a massive riot after the Paris Saint Germain football team won the Champions League. Two deaths, including I believe, a 17-year-old boy was stabbed at the riot slash celebration. Hundreds upon hundreds of people were injured. And I guess this is not the first time that this type of violence has erupted, and it probably won't be the last time that erupts at these types of
Mhm.
events. And certainly, there's a lot of levels to the French celebration slash riot. But I kind of want to know, Drew, in general, what are your thoughts on sporting events and why they often escalate into violence?
Yeah, that's definitely a tragedy for sure. We hear about this. We heard about this happen so many times, like different sports events, concerts as well. Um, why does it happen? I think it's kind of like a almost like a mix of alcohol fueled. These
Mm.
games happen over a long period of time, like hours, and typically, people are drinking. Lots of alcohol is flowing at these type of events for sure. So I'm sure it's fueled by that. Also, people are fanatics when it comes to sports. I'm not a big sports guy, but people are passionate about their teams, and then after the game, they don't know how to almost like just like separate from their feelings about their team winning or losing, and then it goes to the streets, and after the game is over, and then things can get chaotic, and it's also there's a I forget what the term is called, but the psychology of that. This happens when normal people like lose control and they do things that they wouldn't normally do because everybody is doing it, and almost like the blame has been shifted, and they feel like they won't get caught and there's no repercussions if everybody's doing it. And it is a term in psychology where it actually happens, and civilized people just do things they wouldn't normally do. Yeah, so I think it's a combination of a different type of elements.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in the cocktail,
Yeah.
right? So it's like the alcohol induced sort of hooliganism.
Yeah.
It's like you said, the mob
Yeah.
psychology,
The mob
right?
psychology. Exactly. Yeah.
And definitely I agree. Like football hooliganism is legendary.
Yeah.
And I just think with the France situation, there's been some tensions that have been building for years with this. And so I think that people were also taking out a lot of frustrations. Like I think, as you said, there's a fine line between like celebration and jubilation.
Mhm.
And I think um, okay, I'm going to say catharsis.
Hmm.
Like, if you're like, let's just say you're holding something inside, you have these feelings inside. I don't know what the demographics of the PSG fans are. I assume men and women equally enjoy the games.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to say the scale probably tips um, to some extent to men. And I think my personal feeling without having looked at any of the research behind this is that I do feel as if sporting events are also opportunities for people, but certainly men, to express feelings in a collective group of people. And I think if there
Yeah.
is an opportunity, like you said, alcohol's involved, there's a celebration and joy, and then also the anonymity of being in a crowd,
Mhm.
right? If things pop off, I feel like what looks like celebration can very quickly turn into an escalation of of let's f stuff
Yeah,
up. I
exactly.
don't know the way
Right.
to explain it, but just yeah, like it's the same thing that you'd see even here. I don't think it would be any different in Canada. We have seen people riot during hockey
Hockey
games. We've
games.
seen
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
tear cities apart, and it's like I find it fascinating to watch a group of people who are celebrating something. The joy behind the event
Hmm.
becomes this release of feelings that are intense. If you're holding in all these feelings that are very intense and you don't
Exactly.
ever
It's a
express emotion,
release, and now the game is over, and it's almost like they don't know how to come down from that. Almost. Yeah.
yes,
So they need an
yes,
outlet. It's an
and
outlet, and like you said, it's obviously well, men typically attend these sporting games. Obviously, women do too, but it tends to be women who, I mean, men who engage in these riots, right? Yeah. Also.
his power in the
Yeah.
numbers,
Yeah.
yeah, and with the whole France thing. I mean, this is a lot. This is a topic that's much larger than we can actually cover as we're wrapping up.
Mhm.
But I do think, to your point, yeah, there's a lot of pent up rage, and that rage extends to not just whatever that individual is suffering from or dealing with, I should say, but also I think France just had like lots of problems in the last few years around identity
Mhm.
and who are we, and like youth unemployment is super high. There's a lot of, I think, and I'm being very diplomatic in saying this, I think tensions, as immigration has also become an issue for French people as well. And so, my understanding when I'm reading some of the pieces around the PSG celebration slash riot, there were also some mentions of like sacred monuments, like the Joan of
Oh
Arc statue,
wow.
for example, was desecrated
Yeah.
by people, and that religious paraphernalia was also seen like draped over the statue. And so, I think there's a lot of things that came together that day, including what you said about, I think alcohol can fuel a lot of things,
Hmm.
a lot of feelings that needed to just be released, and people found a way to do that. But no doubt, those tensions were a very powerful cocktail that's been brewing for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, sporting events definitely can bring that out. And I know, we did say this was kind of a conversation where we're scratching the surface, and we're not going to go deep like a threat today. But I want to take this conversation
Mhm.
from Paris, France, over to here, to where we find ourselves
Yeah.
in Toronto, Ontario. And for our alchemists who may be listening, um, let's say across the world,
Yeah.
but certainly in North America, it's summertime for us, and that means shows, that means sporting events are happening. So, how are you feeling about large scale events, whether it's a stadium rock show or a sporting event or a parade in the city? Do you feel safe when you're at large scale events in large crowds?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I love concerts, especially in the summer. I mean, we're going to see Oasis, which is a dream come true, and that's happening this summer as well. And that's going to be a large scale event. So I love going to these type of events. Do how do I I feel like I don't mind those type of events as long as there's like specific seating. We have our specific seats, which we do. I think I'm less excited about like a music festival type of
Mm. Yeah.
environment where like you're not seated, you're close to the stage, you know, and there's not assigned seating, that
Mm.
type of environment. And speaking of which, I just watched the documentary that on Netflix, Astro World, about the the Travis Scott concert a few years ago, where I think it was six kids died at that concert, and a part of it was due to that mob mentality, and another part is also the organizers of it really didn't anticipate or make there's too many people for that space basically, and that was way overlooked, and it was just a lot of it was a recipe for disaster.
Mm.
And it was a terrible tragedy as well, but it was that mob mentality as well, which you experience at the concerts, and people really, you know, doing alcohol as well. And as far as do I feel safe, I just go see. I just purchase my tickets and I sit in my seat and I enjoy the concert. I wouldn't want to. I don't think I'm interested in a music festival where it's like you're that close to the stage and that many people. I don't. I'm less enthused about being around like large crowds as I used to be for sure. But I also tend to leave the event afterwards. I don't, you know, stick
Mm.
around and to see what, you
Go to
know, take
tailgate.
it to the street. That yeah. So for the most part, I do feel safe, but it is there's a large people, not many in that small space when you think about it, you know, and things can go wrong pretty quickly. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And I think for my part, it depends on what you said earlier about the way it's organized, the
yeah,
venue. Like I feel similarly. I think I was talking to a friend the other day about concerts, and at
yeah,
this point now I have no shame in just taking my seat. Like we were both looking at, do I really want to be, do I really want to be on the floor for like insert, this like, I don't know, wild band here where they're gonna
it depends
absolutely
what concert it is, what type of event it is as well, or
totally
what type of concert you're going to. Like, I'm sure we'll be okay with Oasis, but
correct.
you know, especially after watching this documentary, I wouldn't want to go to it. I don't think I would go to a Travis Scott concert, even though I'm a big fan of Travis Scott, or like a heavy metal type of concert. I would not be interested
Yeah,
in. All
yeah.
right.
There's a concert that in my mind that I'm thinking of now that's coming up, a big one, towards the end of the summer, early fall. And yeah, I'm not gonna name the name of the of the artist, but I'll just say that like it sounds like it's going to be like a real, um like a devastating mosh pit. Like I just heard the lineup and I was like,
Yeah, a
holy,
mosh
I'll
pit.
take a seat. That's cool. I honestly would have been like right up in it maybe when I was younger, but now at this point now I'm like, you know what?
Yeah,
Yeah, I kind of my comfort is a little bit important to me too. And when
yeah.
it's a stadium show or somewhere where there is security, although to your point, like Astroworld is an example of where it goes terribly wrong. I think these festivals can be really challenging because there's so many other things
Yeah.
that feed into this potential for disaster. Like if they're not well um, staffed, if there is a capacity issue, if you can't get water to the joint. So
Hmm.
I think that's another one too, where people just naturally you go to a concert, you're going to see people who are drinking, who are partying and using drugs. And like, if they're not fed, if they're not nourished
Yeah.
with water, if they're not getting those basic things, then I think that can also become a problem as well too. And you start seeing issues. But yeah, in terms of just like stampedes and the potential for a riot, I have been in
Yeah.
one in another country, and it started like it went from 0 to 10 like that, and it was actually a sporting event. And so I'm probably
Wow.
more um cautious at a sporting event, to be honest, these days because of the nature of what we were talking about before, some of the ingredients that go into these sort of events, and the potential for I don't know, like
Yeah.
ultra violence. But when I'm at a show, a concert, I'm usually okay with it. It's just to your point, the venue does matter. Like if there's um
Hmm.
I can feel the energy sometimes of like, I'm gonna not be here right now. I just feel like something
Yeah,
sinister is about to happen, and I feel people are the crowd's starting to turn. I think I'm gonna leave now. You can feel the
yeah,
energy of a
I'm at,
crowd,
I'm
right? So
at,
it's
yeah.
it is something I do think about, but at the same time, yeah, it's totally circumstantial. Where sometimes I like to be part of that chaos and be part of that sea of humanity, but then there's other times too when I'm just like, I know my cutoff. Like, okay, I'm good now. Cool, now I'm out. So that's
Yeah,
kind of how
I
I
agree.
roll.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I want to get into it, get amongst it, but then I also am like clockwork, and it's just okay. I'm good now, and I'll just leave. I don't care what's happening. I just know I'm good and I'm out. And so it's yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, even with the Oasis show you mentioned earlier, what that stadium is going to be like, what it's going to feel like.
Mhm.
I know the first show there has already happened, and I heard mixed things there too about the accessibility of the
Oh
venue.
wow.
Yeah, I just heard earlier about
Yeah.
water being a problem to access, things like that. And so those are the things that in the heat, people are waiting around, set changes are long, things like that. People start to board people who are angry and maybe have been drinking or, are not in the right headspace.
Oh, exactly. You saw the years ago Woodstock when Limp Bizkit performed. One of the issues there was the lack of water and overpriced water as well.
Yes.
And yeah, that went real
Yeah,
bad.
it went real bad. It went real bad.
Yeah,
Like documentary bad. And I think
yeah.
that hopefully that's not going to be the case this summer, with some of the events that we'll be going to and that our alchemists will be going to.
Mm,
But it is always interesting to think about what can happen when you get a group of people together, en masse in open
mhm,
spaces, and just thinking about everyone has their own agenda and all the things that people are bringing to the event, and then all the things that can happen at the event. It's remarkable when a large event does go off without a hitch, and it's a testament to,
mhm,
yeah, the work of the teams that put them on. But speaking of, like all good things, uh, concerts, sporting events, and this show, we do have to wrap up. This has been a great
mhm.
episode. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, Andrew, about all these hot topics tonight. And
Me too.
yeah, and I hope as well that our listeners have too. And as always, we're going to invite you to hit us up on the socials, and also to leave us some comments if you enjoyed the topics tonight or felt there were other ones that you would like to bring to the table. You have a third chair here as always on this show. So let us know what's lighting up your group chat, and what would you like us to talk about, and what are your thoughts on some of the topics we talked about tonight. Um, Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
But before you go, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow us on Instagram as at culture_alchemy. We want to keep the conversation going.
That is right. And until next time, alchemists,
Stay
stay
curious.
curious.